Beth Taylor, welcome to the Civic Capacity Podcast.
Bill Lutz, how are you doing? Thanks for having me today.
I am doing great. Beth Taylor, you are the Executive Director of Community Rides, and
Yes.
we will talk about that. But the first question I always love to ask our guests is, Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up. Are you a native Trojan?
I am a native Trojan. I have lived here, I'm going to age myself, but I have lived here almost 50 years, almost my entire life. I don't have a memory of life before that. I might get in trouble by saying this in Ohio, but I was born in Michigan.
It's okay.
But I moved here when I was 3, so I don't have a memory. But I was born in Michigan, lived in Troy. I can't even think of what else do you just ask me here. My life here in Troy, right?
Yeah. So what was Troy like when you were growing up in this fair city?
So everybody's nostalgic and you think about the good old days, like I loved when I was little and there was the penny candy shop in Troy and there used to be a JC Penney, or I don't know what it was, but it was where the lockbox 29 or whatever is. But it was a JC Penney or something, and it had these curved stairs. Or do you remember?
Yeah, it's on East Main Street. It's like across the street from Kay's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crafting and Cured is there now, or it's near Crafting and Cured. But I love growing up in Troy. It was a small town, and I didn't know any other way. So I just thought this is how everybody lives. This is life. And high school was great. It's not too big of a high school, but it's big enough that there are different social circles, and we always found fun things to do. In Troy, growing up and then going to high school in the 90s, we used to be Noble Romans, and everybody would hang out at Noble Romans, and there was a Taco Bell and Wendy's. The Wendy's is still there, and everybody would hang out in the parking lot there in high school. We'd go to the rec after football games. So I had a great time growing up in Troy. Like friends, I feel like everybody in Troy back in the 80s and 90s liked it. And I remember days when businesses used to close early on Thursdays because it was like family day or something. I don't even know. I just know my father was a businessman and he closed his place early on Thursdays. And I feel like all businesses did. I think that was a thing.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. And so you graduated high school. Now you went to school over at Anderson in Indiana.
I did. I went to college at Anderson University.
Yeah. And so what brought you back to Troy?
So when you're young and you just graduate college, you want to move everywhere. I think I came back to Troy by accident. I didn't plan on it. But, when you're young, I'm glad I did. But when you're young, I after college applied everywhere, and I wanted to move to Nashville because that's where everybody in Anderson University, that's where they all went, was Nashville. So I wanted to move there. Things didn't work out. And I just luckily happened to get a job in Dayton. My first job when I was 22 was at a radio station in Dayton. And, so I lived in Dayton for a little bit, but even while I was working in Dayton, I moved back to Troy. I don't know. It was just, you're young and you want to get out and experience everything. You don't want to come back to a small town, but there was comfort here. Like at the same time, I was, you're scared because you don't know what you're doing with your life. And so there was just comfort in, I know Troy. Troy's a really good town. So I just moved back here and I've stayed ever since.
Yeah. And you've got a couple kids. Do you think they'll stick around town, or do you think they will go to the big city or somewhere else?
Well, I have a son that's almost 24, and he left for the big city for a little bit. He went to Columbus and he came back to Troy too. So, he's my adult one who's already back. And I'm hoping that my children stay here. I mean, everybody wants to be near their kids, but they are having a really good experience in Troy too. Like with their friends, with the city. Yeah.
And that's really good to hear because, Troy does really try to do a good job of being as multi-generational as possible. And, I know your dad's still around and he's around town and things like that. And so, it's just nice being able to have multi-generational families in town, and you get to see them. I mean, I know we visit my mother every Sunday night for dinner, and it's like, boy, if I dare took the grandkids out of Troy, you know.
I know. I know that feeling. They wouldn't even care if I left as long as those grandkids stay, right?
Yeah, and it's on both sides of the family. My wife's folks are still in town too, so I mean, yeah, you get that on both sides of the family. That's crazy. So, Beth, you are the executive director of Community Rides. Tell us a little bit about what Community Rides is.
All right. Well, Community Rides is a rides to work program. We let me tell you our mission statement. I had to. We provide reliable transportation to low-income individuals in the Troy area to and from work. So our sole mission, it's just work. It was called Rides to Work, and there's a whole history with, we were under a different nonprofit organization, and then we became our own 501c3 a few years ago. But we can get into that later. But the name was changed from Rides to Work to Community Rides, with the vision of, at one point, hopefully we can do more than just rides to work. Like we can do rides to medical appointments or rides to laundry, which we are doing, rides to grocery, whatever. That's a long-term vision goal. But right now, Community Rides is just rides to work if you live and work in the Troy area.
So how many rides are you guys doing a month, a year?
Okay, so I'll tell you that, but let me tell you, we have 3 minivans. That's what we operate on, which is important to keep in your mind. With those 3 minivans, we drive 3 shifts, like a 3-hour morning shift, a 3-hour afternoon, and a 3-hour night shift. And we have 1 or 2 minivans driving per shift. So we always have one sitting out or one, So that being said, we drive around, and it's just a Monday through Friday. We drive around 225 people a week, maybe 800 to 900 people a month to or from their work with just our 3 minivans. So we're doing incredible. Yeah, we're doing incredible work. We're very busy, as you can imagine. Just think of the logistics of driving. You pick up 1 or 2 people, take them to work, pick up a couple more people. Just the time. Luckily, Troy is small enough that you can get from one end to the other in 10 or 15 minutes, but just the time it takes to go from house to house and pick up somebody. So I think we're doing an incredible job right now. I think that we could expand and do more if we had financing, but that's another thing. But we're at capacity. Last year we did 9,760 rides for the year.
Nearly 10,000 rides
in just 3 minivans. Yeah.
for employment purposes. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what kind of businesses are you taking folks to? Are these, do they run the gamut? Are they mostly industrial facilities? Give us an idea of what you're serving.
I would say I'm going to say 40% is probably manufacturing facilities. I don't know if I'm allowed to name specific names right now, but there are a lot of manufacturing facilities on Commerce Center. It's that street behind Meyer and Chick-fil-A. Oh, I just named businesses. But maybe 30 to 40% to manufacturing, but other big retail box places, on the west end of town. We do fast food. So we run the gamut. Gas stations, fast food, any place.
Any place that has a job.
Yes, that's right. And what's interesting is, we advertise, but a lot of it is just word of mouth. So, we'll start out taking one person to a certain fast food restaurant, and then either the other employees see our vans, or that person just, talks. So we start out with 1 employee, and then we're taking 4 employees to that same restaurant for the same thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about your typical rider. I mean, what are the circumstances in which those individuals are calling you and asking for help?
So we have a few different types. So some people, they work at typical writer. So we do statistics on everybody, just voluntary, but because we're not like a government agency, we don't have to keep statistics. So I can do a little bit of breakdowns, but the typical writer is someone who works in a manufacturing facility and maybe they have 2 or 3 children at home, and living is it's the cost of living is high. So think about if somebody works in a manufacturing facility, they're making $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and their rent is $1,000, and or $1,200, and their groceries are $600 or $700 or $800, and kid stuff. All that adds up. So just the affordability of a car is really hard. So we can take that burden from them of they don't have to pay $400 a month for a car plus $100 in insurance and all the other expenses. You can pay $700 a month for a car and maintenance. We take that burden away from them. So that's our typical person, just the average hardworking person who's just trying to get through life. We do have some people that just and they'll be with us for 2 or 3 years at a time. We're constant for them. We have some people that just their car will break down and they just need to use us for a month while they can save up money to get it fixed. Okay. We have some people who court ordered have to get a job and they don't have reliable transportation because, again, the cost of transportation is pretty high. And if you're working at fast food for $12 an hour, it's always hard to save up money for a car. But our average person is just hardworking, full-time person who has a family to support.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't want you to go into any great detail about individual specifics, but I mean, do you have folks that have things like suspended driver's license or no driver's license at all, and these people for whatever reason can't legally drive?
We do have some of those. We do have some individuals like that. We also work with the local shelters. There's a Buckeye shelter, a men's shelter. There's a women's shelter. There's also, this is something I found out from working here. I didn't know, but there are also recovery houses in Troy, which 4 years ago I didn't know about, but there's a men's and a women's recovery home in Troy. And we work closely with those. We work pretty closely with those people too. Sometimes they can't have license. Their licenses have been suspended. In recovery homes, you find people who have been in jail or just out of jail for drug use. So they have their license suspended. So we do work with individuals like that. We also work with individuals who can't drive for health reasons. We have some people, just different, epilepsy, or someone just can't drive for whatever reason, and we offer support to those. And we don't advertise that, but thank goodness they find us and we're able to help them.
So how do most people find you? I mean, you said word of mouth was probably your number one line of folks coming to you, and of course you work with other human service agencies. Are there other ways that folks end up getting in touch with you? Word of mouth. I'm the director, so I think you can feel my pain when I say I'm the director and I wear many hats. So I'm also supposed to do the marketing. So I do market us a little when I have time in between everything else. I just, I've made brochures that I drop off at staffing agencies, or I take brochures to Job and Family Services. They have an Ohio Works Now program that they know more about it than I do, but I will drop brochures off at some manufacturing facilities. Sometimes even myself, like if I'm just driving, I keep a stack of them in my car. And if I'm just driving around and I stop at the gas station to get gas, I'll say, here, will you put this on your billboard for your employees? And so that is one way they find out about us. Some people have called just because they see our van driving by. We have a minivan with just our logo on the back and with a phone number. So
So those are the main ways. And I admit that I could do a little better with marketing, but again, it's just me.
Yeah, I get it. It's a one-woman show. It's hard to get it all done. Yeah. And so, how long is the typical rider with you? I mean, I know you said you have some long-term folks, but I mean, is the idea to get somebody into the program and then eventually they save enough money, get their own vehicle, and then after 3 to 6 months, they're ready to go out on their own?
That's our ideal. That's our goal. Like, help somebody out so they can save up for their own vehicle and go out on their own. I'm going to say, I'm going to say off the top of my head, and now I've been here 3 or 4 years. We have had some people with us for 3 years. I'm going to say 25% of our people are long-term. And we just celebrated, actually, we're in July. In May, after 4 people had been with us for 3 years, they all in the month of May, 4 people, they all got vehicles, which is our goal, which is a huge accomplishment, which is what, we're very happy for them. So, and it sometimes it can take 4 years to save up to buy a vehicle. And what I'm noticing is people that we take to work, they save up to buy a full vehicle. They don't save up for monthly payments to, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to take them a long time to save up $10,000 or $5,000. I would say the average person stays with us maybe 6 months, and then they'll be gone for a year, and then they might come back for 6 months. So I don't know. We don't know. I don't ask. So I don't know what happens in the meantime, but I'm going to say 6 months is the average.
Well, I mean, it's a typical story of folks that are in poverty. They end up saving enough money for a car. Something happens, they sell the car.
That happens.
They take care of that immediate problem, whatever it is. And then it's like, oh, my resource network, I know Community Rides is there, and I'll just use them again, and I'll just kind of repeat that cycle over. And yeah,
So you said it. I said I don't ask what happens, but that's what happens.
Yeah, that's a typical story of folks in poverty. We see it at the food pantry all the time. We'll see folks who see us for a season in life, and then they're gone, and then something happens, and then they're back, and it's kind of like a yo-yo effect. Yeah, that happens quite a bit. So one of the things that most nonprofits struggle, and Community Rides is certainly no different, is the financing of it, because you guys do charge for a ride, don't you?
We do charge. So we so public there, Miami County has Miami County Public Transit. They charge $4 per ride. So I think that's how Community Rides decided to do it. So we charge $4 per ride. We have scales. If you're part-time, you pay $2 a ride. That being said, we're not going to turn anyone away. So they can come to us and I just can't do it this week, and we're still going to give them a ride. That happens a lot. Maybe they take advantage of us, and I have a big heart, so I believe the stories. So there are a lot of times they go without paying, but we do charge, because that pays for our gas for the year. I mean, it costs a lot of money. We use a lot of gas just to drive in Troy.
Yeah, but I mean, and this is the thing about every transit system, whether it's kind of like a bootstrap transit system like yours or a public transit system, the fare box comes nowhere close to covering all of the expenses that you guys have. Because I mean, yeah, the gas is nice, but I mean, still 3 vehicles operating 9 hours a day, there's wear and tear, there's oil changes, tires, brakes, and that's insurance. Yeah, so I mean, it's an expensive endeavor to try to just move large numbers of people from point A to point B. So how else?
Oh, and and we do pay. I'm sorry, we do pay our drivers. That's another expense. They work 15 hours a week, so there's an expense there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with that, where else does your funding come from?
So we have been so lucky to, have the support of local foundations. I'm going to say our biggest funder is the Troy Foundation, and Melissa Kleps and everyone there. They champion us, like they support us in everything we do. So we get a funding from Troy Foundation. The United Way is wonderful as well. They always support us. The Duke Foundation helps us. Actually, this last year, we just talked about wear and tear in our cars. Our vehicles were getting up there with mileage. And so the Duke Foundation funded a new vehicle for us. And this last year, the Miami County Commissioners also funded 2 new vehicles for us. So we're riding around in like 3 new minivans right now. So it's kind of nice. There's Miami County Foundation. And those are our main support groups. And then I have to go out and, just find money wherever I can find from foundations online, grants online, just, beg and plead for please. We have gone into the businesses that we help out the most. There's one manufacturer that for the whole last year, we took 10% of their workforce to work. And I'm not going to name their name, but they're a manufacturer in Troy. And I've had a couple meetings with the HR people and tried to get through further, just asking for funding, making a nice presentation. This is how we help you. This is how we help your business. You thrive because we can take your people there. So we've tried to ask for funding from businesses. It's not gone very well. And Jim, the president, our board president of Community Rides is here. And he's always said to me and to anyone like, well, you've taken their employees to work for 10 years and you've never asked for funding. So why should they pay now? Because they know you'll still take them. So that's with Troy businesses, like they know we're going to take them. Why pay us? But it's my job to keep bugging them and asking for funding.
Well, and it's tough because it's like on one hand, you take a look at your customer and your customer is your rider. But I think really your customer is the business that these riders are going to, because it's like if you're not delivering their workforce to their front door so that they can flip the burger or put the widget in or whatever, that business is going to eventually collapse. They're not going to be able to do the things that they need to do on the daily, and it's going to hurt their bottom line. And that's a hard sell to make, because your board president's right. There's one of the great things about living in Troy is we live in a very generous community, and the foundations have come through time and time again. And it's like, well, if the foundations have come through in the past, the expectation is they'll be there in the future. And so these businesses don't have to spend this money on that. Speaking of the foundations, the Troy Foundation came up with this community needs assessment a few years ago, and it was housing, childcare, and transportation. And you are the third. What is it? The third leg of the stool to keep families functioning, keep families healthy, and keep them moving forward. And so, do you feel like there is a lot of community support for the efforts that you're undertaking because you are in the transportation world?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I feel like when we have sent out, most nonprofits do this, but you send out a yearly letter, like donation letters. I feel like within the community, we've had a good response with just individuals supporting us, like sending us funding, and some local small businesses. And what's interesting is it's more local like more small local businesses that have helped us and supported us more than the big manufacturing facilities that we help out more. And these small businesses, we might not take them, any client or any employees to them, but they understand and support Troy. So within the community, the citizens have been great. Like they've been a support, and they're cheerleaders. And if they see something on Facebook, they're like, yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job. So within town, we get a lot of support.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of that's also that, I mean, if we're talking about Troy 60 years ago, a lot of the manufacturers in town were still managed and operated here in town. So like Hobart was a Troy town. And, I'm sure 60 years ago, if you needed something, you could go knock on Mr. Meeker's door, Mr. Johnson's door, and say, hey, I need some money for this program, and this is how we're helping you. I'm sure they would be more than happy to provide some assistance. But the businesses now in town, especially the large ones, their decision makers aren't here.
Yes.
They could be overseas. I mean, there's a lot of Japanese businesses, and they can be overseas, and you're never going to get in front of them. You're never going to be able to plead the case. And so it's just a challenge that has come with the times that we're at. And, you're seeing that in a whole bunch of different areas in different ways. So what does the future of community rides look like?
So let's see. Well, it's still our vision to expand to do more than just rides to work. It's still in our, vision to expand to do rides to medical appointments. I've been talking back and forth with someone at UVMC about how can we start doing rides to medical appointments. I know that they're like Medicare, Medicaid, different care source. They offer transportation to those individuals to their doctor appointments. And I'm trying to figure out how to hook us in to be a part of that network. Right now, for the past couple of years, I just thought about this. For the past couple of years, we've worked with the Troy Rotary Club and the Sheriff's Department to do a holiday, like where your designated driver call us over the holiday season, and we'll pick you up and take you home. That's been fairly successful. We've just been doing it a few years, just in December. We have expanded, and we're doing a laundry program, which was eye-opening to me. And I say that like we take people to work, and it was eye-opening how many people needed transportation. Taking people to this laundry program. There's a church, the Church of the Brethren, offers free laundry service twice a month. And we are booked. Like they have a 2-hour window of laundry, and we are booked. We must have in 2 hours 5 or 6 people that we're taking to the laundry. So we've expanded that way. I think just keep expanding. We're doing rides to farmers market, just the farmers markets that's open on Cherry Street in the summer. We provide rides there for people who need rides. So we just want to keep, the future is we just want to keep expanding like that, like wherever we see a need. And actually, I'm going to have a discussion with someone in the county, juvenile corrections. I don't know what the word is, but about taking youth to their court appointed appointments. So that's another way we can expand. Just, something I didn't even think about. They came to me like, can you help us with this? Sure. So I'm going to expand however we can.
Has there been, and I know there's been thought, but I mean, ideas of expanding to Tip City, Piqua, Covington? Because I mean, there's industrial concerns in those communities too.
Yes. So I've tried, do it or not, there is no try. We have spoken with businesses in other cities. I haven't done it probably as much as I should. Again, it's me. So sometimes I get sidetracked with other work, but we have spoken with businesses about how can we dedicate vehicles. We've wanted to expand within the county. How can we dedicate vehicles to just Tip City? How can we dedicate vehicles to just Piqua? How can we dedicate a vehicle that goes from city to city? Just the logistics. We've gotten a little bit of support. I think something like this, in my head, I was like, oh, I'm going to lay out this presentation and, I have all the numbers down and I have all my stats and they're just going to love it and they're going to buy it. So things weren't as easy as I thought they would be. We've laid out information. I think that to expand to city, it takes funding. And so that takes a while to get all the businesses to come together to fund, or all local city governments to come together to help fund. So I think something like that's a 2 or 3 or 4 year proposal. It's not as easy as I thought it was. We would like to do it. And I do want to say we have a website that it's troycommunityrides.org. I'm not plugging the website. I'm telling you this to say you can go on our website and one can just put in, I need a ride to work. So weekly, I get emails from people that are living in Piqua. We've gotten it from Germantown. I've gotten rides requests from Toledo, Ohio, from Dayton. They don't always live and work in Troy, or they don't always work in Troy, but this is how big the need is for transportation. Like they're just, someone is Joe's on his computer in Dayton typing, I need to ride to work. And we pop up because there are no other organizations like us. So we pop up and I don't advertise. I don't even know how to advertise on Google. So I certainly don't advertise in Toledo, Ohio, but our name gets popped up because there's nothing else. So gosh, I don't even know what my point is with that, how I answered your first question, but transportation is a need everywhere. It's amazing to me.
It's like the model you have is a very unique model.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how a community can respond to transportation needs. And
yes,
you're not seeing this done really anywhere else, because mostly, okay, large cities, Dayton, Columbus, you've got the RTA, or you've got CODA, and you've got a fixed route system where it will take you from you got to get to the bus stop, and then the bus stop will take you to wherever that bus line goes.
Yeah.
You're more of a demand response system where it's like, we'll
take you door.
Yeah, it's a door-to-door thing. You don't have to go to a bus stop or things like that. And and in smaller communities, you see those transit systems, but those are all government operated, and they tend to go 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And, business doesn't work that way.
Right. That's right. I think our busiest shift is, I told you we have 3 shifts, and our third shift is 9 p.m. to midnight. And that's our busiest. People getting off second and going into third. We can do 16 rides a night just for third shift. Wow. 16 to 20. Actually, 16 to 20 rides a night just for our third shift ride.
So do you have a hard time finding drivers?
No, actually, no. It's funny, like our drivers, all the drivers that we have been referred by other drivers. So, our morning driver, Carissa, she could say, hey, my friend Billy needs a job in the afternoon. I've known Billy for a really long time. So I'll, interview Billy, and Billy works, and then Billy loves it. So then he'll say, hey, if you know anybody else, my friend Joe needs a ride. So just like our services are word of mouth, like I think our open, if we have open a need for a new driver, that's word of mouth. Like people who start to drive for us, they love it. And because we're helping people, and you get to form relationships with our riders, all our drivers and riders, they see each other 5 days a week, 6 days a week. And so our drivers become kind of like bartenders, they're counselors, so they give a lot of advice, other than work advice, but our drivers give a lot of just life advice to our riders, and who sometimes need that guidance. So we don't have a hard time finding them. I am really, I fill in. Like if somebody, I'm the backup. So we have a backup driver and then I'm the backup. And I've done all the shifts. We have 5:30 to 8:30, 1:30 to 4:30, and then 9 to midnight. But the shift that I will ask every other person to do instead of me is that 5 to 8:30, because I don't know how those people get up and start at 5 in the morning, but God bless our morning drivers because they do it.
But yeah, you're right. As the executive director, you're always the backup to backup on everything in the organization. Everything. And you brought up an important point. I mean, the riders and the drivers, they can't help but kind of enter into this kind of like mentor-mentee relationship because they do see each other every day. And I'm sure that your drivers encounter folks that don't want to go to work that day, or encounter other issues at home and things like that. And it takes a special person to be one of those drivers, because you've got to work with these folks every day, because it's like, hey, I'm taking your butt to work whether you like it or not.
Oh, and that happens too. Like somebody won't show up in the morning and our driver will be like, you better get out here. They'll tell you better get out here because you're going to work. Like that happens.
So do you guys have like a no call, no show policy? I mean, do you eventually have to kick people off the program?
We have done that a few times. Unfortunately, we have and I kind of followed what the Miami County Transit does, but we have if you no call, no show 3 times, you're suspended for 2 weeks. And then if you do it 3 more times, you're suspended. I keep doing it, but there have been a couple people that unfortunately we haven't been able to convince to go to work every day. So we've had to, but then we all feel bad because, you want people to work to earn income. So, but then they'll call 6 months later and we'll say, yes, we'll take you again. Because we all just have too big of a heart for that.
Yeah, I get it. One of the things I did want to explore with you is like ride sharing services like Uber. Do those things exist in Troy? Are they popular? Do you know about them? And do you see them as kind of a competitor to what you're doing?
So as far as actual like Uber or Lyft, I think that we've looked before. At any given time, there are maybe 2 or 3 cars that are working in Troy, like for Uber or Lyft, like that are on call. And those rides can be, and you have to tip them as well, or I guess you don't have to, but those rides are about $22. Like, and I've done it here. I work in the Partners in Hope building. So I have an office here. So I'm on Mulberry and Ray Street, and I've done an Uber. I haven't done it, but I've called up one to see the price. And for me to go from Partners in Hope to Walmart is $22. So yeah. So as far as that goes, that's not even really competition. And there's not very many of them. There are rideshare programs no, not rideshare, but there are independent people that drive around in minivans. I've seen like a Troy Taxi. I've seen Antoine. Antoine's is really big down in Dayton. I've seen a van up here a couple times. And I've actually tried to contact them. I just am interested to see what their didn't try. I did call but left a message. I just wanted to see what their prices were. I haven't been successful in speaking with someone. There are the random like vans. And sometimes randomly I've seen on Facebook, somebody will say, I'm offering services of driving this weekend if somebody wants to call me. I think those people charge between about $5 and $10 a ride. So it's there. I still think, and they're also, Miami County Transit exists. They're the whole county, and they do ride. We're not in competition with them. The director of the transit's on our board, so we get along very well. We work well together. We're not really in competition with them. We offer services at night that they can't. And some people just prefer we can't compete with them. They have 20 vans, 40,000 rides throughout the whole county. But people like us because maybe we're not affiliated with the government. And I know that sounds silly to some people, but some riders just don't, a county transit van is run by the county, which is government. And some of our riders just want to steer clear of government. Nobody from county transit's going to turn them in, but they don't know that. And so they're just more comfortable with us, where they don't have to, they just call us and we give them a ride. They don't have to show us qualifications of income. They don't even tell us their last name, so we're a lot more not discreet, but.
And not only that, but it's I've been on county transit buses before, and this is not meant to be denigrating to the county transit system, but you don't know who the driver is, and it seems like they go through drivers a lot. Maybe things have changed, but they went through drivers a lot and things like that, and it was not a pleasant experience, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I would assume that you guys have a much more pleasant experience for your. I'd certainly much rather ride in a minivan than one of those big old buses with the hard seats. That's
yeah. Well, that's part of the the deal with government. We don't get government funding, and that one reason is there are so many restrictions, and they have to have those vans. They can't have minivans. The government says if you're going to drive people, here's your set of rules. So we're able, because we're not affiliated with government, we don't get government funding, we can have more discreet, we can have a minivan, and we can make it a little more personable.
Yeah.
That being said, again, transit's great. Sarah's wonderful. She's on our board. She shuffles 40,000 people around every year. So she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she does. And she really does a great job. And if you've seen the transit system in action over the last few years, you'll see that they've done a better job, I think, of modernizing their fleet and things of that nature. So yeah, Sarah there at Transit is doing a wonderful job. So what are some real tangible ways in which the community can rally around you and Community Works to help you guys out?
Yeah, the most tangible thing would just be funding. We have, because it's a small organization, we don't. I rent an office space in the Partners in Hope building, so we don't have a physical location that we need to keep up. Our drivers need to be on. We looked into volunteer drivers, but it's really complicated because with insurance, and we're we are considered like a ride share program. So insurance is a structure different. So we can't really have volunteer drivers, which is kind of what we were looking into at one point. So the main thing is just funding, or just funding, word of mouth, even. If you can't fund me, maybe somebody can set me up hey, I know the CEO of Raymath. I'm just making up a business. I'll get you in touch with them, just word of mouth and funding that way. Or if anybody wants to clean our vans out, they can support us by cleaning our vans. We do that once a week. We have our drivers clean them, but you can imagine when you have hundreds of people in a car every week, they get fairly dirty. So we have a dedicated person that cleans our vans every week.
It reminds me of the one time I took a plane trip and I had to get something off the floor, and I looked at the whole floor of the plane after this very short trip, 4 hours, holy cow. It's just wow, I can only imagine what it's like in a minivan that's been driven time and time again. Holy cow.
It takes our person who cleans it takes him an hour each week to clean one van, because you got to scrub. You have 100 different behinds on a seat. You got to scrub it clean. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and these guys are at work and they've got work boots and things like that, and it's just oh my god. So do you guys allow food and beverages on the no food?
No food and beverages unless you are a driver. I mean, we can break our own rules, but no food and beverages. We've had to have that talk with people before too, because they'll ask us to go through McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever for food and to eat breakfast on the way to work, and we cannot do that.
Does the driver decide what's on the radio?
Yes. And that's so funny. There's a certain genre that I don't like to listen to. And I got in one of the vans yesterday, and it was country. I don't like country. And country was on. And I texted our driver and I go, "What are you doing listening to this station in my van?" Like, no, but we actually have some riders that get in the front seat. Gosh, it's really funny because I've been in the car with him before. Get in the front seat and he'll be like, "I don't like this station." And he'll just turn it. And he just like, it's his car. Like the audacity of that, I can't even correct him. We just let him be.
Well, that's funny. That's
yeah.
Funny. So Beth, do you have anything else for the good of the order? Anything else?
Looking over at my boss man.
Oh, okay. Anything we need to talk about that we didn't cover?
No, I think that we've, I explained the program. Explained how we work. I think that everything is covered, our vision, where we are now. I think we're good, right?
Yeah. Hey, Bill, this is Jim. The only thing I might add is at some point in time, talking about expanding, and Beth went on that, we presented a whole county proposal to the commissioners, and they said no. But I think it's got to, we're going to have help from the city and the county if we expand like we would like to expand, because that's a big budget, and we can't ask the foundations to give us that much money. So, the workforce development people and all the people in the city, and they've got to come up with some way to help us out if we expand. And we'd love to expand because we really had a lot of talks with Piqua this year, and it really wasn't that much to do that, but we couldn't even get half funding that we needed. So I think in the future, I don't know how long, 2 or 3 years from now, it's probably going to say to the city or county, if you still want 10 or 12,000 rides, you've got to help out. So that's just my thought.
It would be nice to have city backing.
Yeah, and it's like for every dollar one of the folks you're hauling to work earns, at least in Troy, the city's getting nearly 2 cents of every dollar.
Yeah, we figured that out.
Yeah,
we actually did we figured that out. I don't remember now what the dollars were.
It was
but
$2 million.
It was about $2 million that put back into the economy.
And most likely it'll stay, within Troy. They don't have cars, so they're not gonna.
Yeah, that's the income. If you take 350 or 400 people times 30,000 a year, 40 times 30, that's 2 million. So
yeah,
how much stays in Troy? Most of it, because they can't go anyplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's my only thing.
Okay.
I really think I came on board with the Partners Hope at the beginning, but then came really back when I left Troy Ford for that was 5 years ago. Really think it's a great program. The city and the county is going to be hurting, and businesses more than that. They're going to be hurting if something happens to us, because a lot of those people, they're not going to ride the transit. And she didn't mention the first 2 weeks on the job, we don't charge them anything.
No, we don't even charge until they get the thing that
we also take people for interviews.
I'm the interview driver. People go to interviews.
All staffing agencies got folders, and if they come in or if they call, we take them for the interview at no charge.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you gotta listen
to you, Jim.
And I know if Jim Taylor says it needs to be done, right?
There you go. And the thing that we don't think about, especially in Troy, is just the physical layout of the town. It's hard to get to where those employment centers are on the west side of town if you don't have a car, it's you can't easily walk there. You can't easily ride a bike there. I mean, you almost have to have a car in order to work out on the west side of town. It's like, and it's like the most important credential you can have to get a job in this town, it's not a college degree, it's not a high school diploma, it's a valid driver's license and a working car. You know, if you got those two things, you can get a job pretty easily. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Bill.
Thank you.
Nice. I'll stop down and see you one day next week.
Oh, sounds good, Jim. Beth, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's been so much fun talking to you. And I have to tell you, I was a little nervous, but you made everything great.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. That makes me feel good. And of course, I give all the credit to our guests because they are engaging, wonderful people. And I'm just glad we were able to learn more about you and learn more about community rides.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, Beth.
Take care. Bye.